is Money Monday, and today we are talking about the surge in consumer spending. This summer, Americans are spending more on travel, dining, and entertainment.
Are you surprised?
Are you spending more?
I am. Way to put me on the spot. And along with increased spending comes that unfortunate thing many of us dread, more debt. ABC News' contributor Roxy Diaz has more.
That's right. The summer spending spree is underway, and thanks to our sponsor, Intuit Credit Karma, I got some helpful tips to get your finances back on track. Take a look.
Heading into the summer, we knew that many people planned to have a lot of fun this summer, regardless of how much it was going to cost. At the start of the season, a survey from Credit Karma showed that a third of Gen Z and millennials were planning to prioritize having fun this summer over saving money. And now, for a lot of us, especially younger generations, the reality of all that fun is probably starting to hit our bank accounts. I know I'm still paying off my Taylor Swift Eras Tour experience. And what were people spending money on? Travel was a big one. Rising travel prices were not enough to dissuade young consumers from jet setting this summer. And it's not particularly surprising, right? We know that many Americans tend to use the school breaks and the summer holiday to go on vacation and visit family and friends. But what was surprising was how many people were prioritizing travel regardless of their financial standing. That same Credit Karma survey showed that nearly half of Gen Z millennials plan to spend more on travel this season than in years past. And now that summer's sadly starting to come to a close, the reality of those credit card bills piling up is something that we need to face.
For those who have spent too much this summer, what are some of the things that they can do to get back on track?
If you found yourself going into debt this summer, the first thing you want to do is not panic, and instead you want to take action. Try to redirect some of that time and energy into putting together a debt repayment plan that can really help get your finances back on track going forward.
Tell us a little bit more about this repayment plan.
So if you were someone who found yourself spending a little more this summer than you could afford to immediately pay off, especially with those sky-high credit card interest rates, it's really important to make a plan to pay down your debt. First, you just need to understand what you owe and the details of those payments, things like the due dates or the minimum payments. And then you can pick a strategy to start paying down that debt. For example, you could use something called the avalanche method, where you start with the debt with the highest interest rate first. That can help you save some money in interest in the long run. Or you could try something called the snowball method, where instead you start with the smallest dollar amount debts first. That can help you get some quick wins to really build some momentum to keep you chipping away at your debt. Whatever's best for you really depends on how much you owe and what you think will keep you motivated going forward. But whatever you choose, it's important to get started as soon as you can so you don't keep getting further into debt.
What are the essentials that should be considered when you're considering your budget?
The number one mistake that so many people make with their money is not having a budget to guide your daily spending and saving habits. So if this is you, sit down and make that budget. If it sounds intimidating, it really doesn't have to be. You first just want to see where you stand. What money do you have coming in? What's your income? What's going out? You can forecast some expenses that you have coming up, or even take a look at your last few months of credit card statements to see where your money is going and how your spending stacks up against your income. Then when you're going to create your budget, the number one thing to do is to make sure you're prioritizing your necessities. So that's things like rent or groceries, over your wants, which could be something like a vacation or a shopping spree. But it's important to remember that a budget is not designed to prevent you from having fun and enjoying your life, but rather to help you avoid spending money that you don't have and going into debt.
Lastly, especially in this digital social media era, how important is it to just be realistic with yourself?
It's so important to be realistic when you create that budget. You're not going to stick to it unless it works for your lifestyle and how you like to spend and save. And the more realistic it is, the more likely it is that you're going to stick with it in the long run. And that can really pay off for your financial health. Like for me, I love going to concerts and live shows, so I try to make sure my budget has some space for those things that I really enjoy. But I'm also really strict about making sure I pay off my necessities first. So whatever it is for you that works, it's important to pick a budget that you can stick to.
And in my head, I'm like, but I got a champagne lifestyle and I don't got the budget for it, so I don't know what to do. I have so many jokes, but...
Girl, me too.
Thanks to Courtney and our sponsor, Intuit Credit Karma, for those tips to help us recover from a summer of overspending. Back to you guys.
A champagne lifestyle.
Roxy always keeping it real.
Always keeping it real.
Our thanks to Roxy for that.